episode of RecTalk. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma, the founder of RecTools.io, the world's largest online directory of recruitment supply chain suppliers into your recruitment business. So if you're a recruitment agency and you're looking for a new, CRM, website developer, outsourcing marketing, maybe you're looking for some compliance and IDVT checking software, maybe you're looking for a new payroll company, or maybe you're looking for investment for your startup, get onto RecTools.io. We have an unbiased selection of a whole of market database, if you will, of suppliers who supply into the industry. Today's guests, it's a funny one really, because a lot of the previous episodes we've been hearing a lot of trends about how difficult 2023 was, how much of a difficult start to the 2024 we've had. And my guests, we spoke quite a bit off camera and kind of on a pre sort of call. And one thing that really stood out to me about them was that actually they have booked a lot of the trends going on in the recruitment world at the moment, certainly from the agency side. They've seen year-on-year growth, which we'll go into in a lot more detail, but they seem to be doing things right and in the right way. So here to kind of open that up a bit more, tell us about kind of what they're doing. It's formerly Somnium, but now Mixxos Group. We've got Gemma and Chris. Thank you for making the journey down from Milton Keynes, was it?
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Some introduction.
I'm getting better. I used to babble my way through them and just be like, can we start again? Can we please start again?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, appreciate this. So I find it really, really fascinating actually, because we had that call, what was it, about a week, maybe two ago now, where we're just discussing kind of what we're going to talk about, right? And you guys are kind of literally almost on every single thing that there is a trend in the recruitment market at the minute of people struggling, temp desks are going down, job flows weak, business development is an issue. You guys didn't seem to be kind of phased by any of that. And I find that really fascinating, which again, I don't think even you two appreciate just probably how well you are doing because you're so deeply ingrained in your business, right? So let's open that up a little bit, right? Let's start by kind of what is it that you guys are doing that is working so well for you?
I think to start, before we go into the kind of fundamental steps that we've taken to get here, one thing that we haven't shared is that Chris and I, our background, everything that we've done pretty much has put together now a well-versed kind of version of how resilient we are. I started in recruitment in, I think it was 2007, possibly the biggest recession that's ever hit us. So I don't know any different. So when we, in fact, hit pandemic, for us, it was just like...
Oh, here it is again.
It wasn't a walk in the park, don't get me wrong, but we were just like, let's go.
Yeah.
Batten down the hatches, the chinks in the armor were already there, so we were ready to go. But Chris's background is in BMX racing, so that real hardy kind of competition, anything can happen in the race, doesn't matter how good you are, it's all about the mindset. And for me, my background is dancing, singing and acting, so hugely competitive. And actually sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know, and kind of face don't fit mentality. So I guess we're both really hardy from that, and so naturally that's trickled down throughout the business and some of the kind of swoops and changes that we've made as we've navigated through the last 3 years, mostly, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, obviously BMX racing and professional dancing, it's not directly the same as recruitment, but I think it gives you them kind of life skills and transferables.
Yeah, it's called transferables, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. So, I feel like we live in a society at the moment where everyone can kind of blame others or lack accountability. And, for us, it's about, when the going gets tough as such, we really kind of dig deep and push forward. And I guess you're also right. You probably don't realise how well you're doing, or we certainly don't. We're probably our own biggest critics. But it's going really well. And I guess we just
part of that's probably because you're not out there listening to the noise. Do you know what everyone else is? People tend to kind of jump on bandwagons. People tend to kind of band together and moan about the same thing, right? And noise is it's loudest when everyone's saying the same thing. Yeah. And because you're not kind of involved in that intentionally, so you're not hearing it.
They say that recruiters are best, they feel most comfortable and confident in a pack, right?
Yeah.
I think me and Chris just literally locked ourselves away, got our head down. Initially, we were working from home like everybody. And as soon as the doors were open as such, we were like, right, let's get some offices. And we found office space that absolutely walked and talked everything that we stood for in terms of business, values, everything. And it was one of those moments where it's like a 50, 60 man office. There's 4 of us, Chris. What are you talking about? It's like, I'm telling you, I've literally looked at every space within a kind of 20, 25 mile radius. We've got to go for it. And I looked at it and it was stunning. So we just kind of bit the bullet, didn't we? And went for it. And since then, it's just been an upward curve for us.
I think also every client we work with, like we are genuinely grateful for. We don't rest on our laurels. Like every bit of business that we get, we cherish it and we look after it and we make sure we nurture them relationships and we genuinely care. Like we're authentic people, you know, we know that, you know,
I think that
recruitment's
word,
like a roller coaster, right?
And that word's tossed around so much, isn't it? Authentic. Like, what does it actually mean? And authentic to us is when a client speaks to one of your staff members like shit, and you pick up the phone and you address it and say, that's not how we do business. And actually, morally and ethically and values wise, this is why we've chosen to work with you. That's not okay. And we treat all of our clients the same, and we make sure that everybody is made to feel like they're our only client. And it's not about fee chasing and, you know, that last buck that you can get onto the pipeline. It's about actually longevity wise, what can this customer bring?
Those behaviours tend to happen when people are struggling, right? I can always tell an agency who's struggling because the desperation's coming through in sort of the way they present their job adverts, the way they're doing their business
100%.
development, the things that they're moaning about. You can tell when somebody's like, right, you're feeling the pinch somewhere.
I feel like that's like trickled down from like the top.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're 50-50 shareholders in this business, right? No external shareholders or investors or anything like that. So every decision we make is for the best of our clients, our candidates, and our business. It's not to tick a KPI box. You know, we're not sending CVs for the sake of it. We're not, you know, taking on jobs that are non-core. We're not working with clients that have high turnover. We can be very particular and picky in terms of who we partner with and ensuring that actually, do they align with our business and do, you know, would we run for a brick wall from them? If something went wrong and they called me, would I get to their office within an hour and genuinely care about the business? Because if I didn't, or Gemma didn't, or our staff didn't, then we probably wouldn't work with them, right? Because recruitment it's a hard industry and a hard business to work within. So you at least want to do it with people that you get along with or you care about or you're passionate about, right? Yeah. So I think that's definitely helped for us. We're very particular in terms of who we partner with. We don't take on any piece of business. And I guess like it's that, you know, that authentic relationships and genuinely caring about their businesses and the people that you work with. And I think that's stood us in really good stead. We turn away a lot of business. We don't take on every bit of business.
That's easy to do when you're financially comfortable and stable, and I think that's
100%.
probably something that needs to be addressed more by recruitment business owners, because I mean, I always feel like most people that I speak to who are running businesses, right, they run their business finances very much like their own personal finances. And if fundamentally you're the kind of person that, you know, lives paycheck to paycheck or historically has done, you don't financially plan, you don't think about, right, today the money's flowing, but tomorrow the tap could turn off, so I need to have you know, this much tucked away, and I need to have my, you know, this my old financial planning days coming in, but my spend, save, invest pots and that kind of thing.
Definitely.
People who don't operate like that in their own personal lives operate their businesses like that too. Oh, my business made $100,000 profit. Okay, how much did you take out of it? 100, 120. Oh, so you took more money out than the business made, even though it cleared a 100k profit. Like, make sense to me.
We've recently hired a CFO that works for our business, a guy called Michael Sterling. If you don't know him, go and check him out. He's transformed our whole business. He's been in recruitment for 18 years, and you know, to be able to make informative decisions, to know that how much it's going to cost the business to a penny, you know, it just cuts the emotion out of it. And
you know your run rate, you know what you need to make,
you know what
margins you should be working at.
You can't really mess up. The only way you mess up is if you make the wrong.
You actively choose to. Yeah. It's a choice then, isn't it?
And I think when you're growing a business in the beginning, you know, ironically, one of our biggest challenges as a business is to find really good staff, right? And I'm sure that's the same across the whole industry.
Yeah, everyone's sure the same
particularly
thing.
recruitment. It's one of the toughest jobs around, and this whole "it's not rocket science" is absolute rubbish, because it's all about the emotion. You know, if a client wants to pay next to nothing and wants a CV service, there's plenty of companies out there that offer that, right? So what they're paying for is that emotional intelligence and that kind of ability to weed out right from wrong and, you know, good from bad. And like ultimately, I just think what it boils down to is that if you do what you say you're going to do, which sounds so simple, yet it's so seldomly done. And it's that, as Chris mentioned earlier, when it does hit the fan, you know, how do you deal with it? How do you knee-jerk react to that? Do you just hide behind your laptop? Do you move on to your next fee along your pecking order? Will you go down there and front it and say, look, you know what? Hands up, it hasn't gone right. What can we do to put it right for you?
It's that accountability, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think
accountability is really the undertone here, isn't it? It's kind of
100%.
how often do you look at yourself and be like, right, where did I mess up in this process?
And we're very reflective. Like we're far from perfect. Like you mentioned about our growth journey as a business and stuff like that. But like genuinely, like most days we're saying, well, okay, we've done really well there, but let's not rest on it. What could we have done better?
Yeah.
So like sometimes our staff will look at us and just smashed in a lovely fee,
They're
done
like,
everything
what more do
perfect.
you want?
Yeah. And we're like, all right, brilliant. Like let's unpick it. What could you have done better? And they're like, what? I've just done like a 10 grand fee or whatever it is.
Yeah,
and they're like, what do you mean? Like I've just placed it. I was like, yeah, okay. So what could you have done better? You know, was there any parts of that process? You know, what about the other two candidates? What about the feedback you give to the two that didn't get the role? And just always look into, and they must sometimes look at us and think, what are you guys on? But I think it's that constant.
Which is fair, I think, to a certain degree, right? We have this, I'll talk about a lot on the podcast, it's this thing called the productivity cycle, where we're constantly at war with ourselves as humans, where we're like, if I'm not doing something, then I'm being lazy, and you know, you're hard on yourself and you're constantly trying to push yourself for more.
Yeah.
But the problem with that then becomes that when you do have successes, if you're not stopping to be like, this time 3 years ago, I said I was going to do this,
That's crazy.
and here I am doing that. If you're not going to stop to do that and enjoy those little wins and kind of give yourself that pat on the back, then what the fuck are you doing it for? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
in all
but in order to sit down and recognize your tiny successes, you kind of need to sit down in the beginning and figure out what is it you're trying to achieve.
100%.
That doesn't matter whether you're an entry level consultant or senior talent person with a team of 4 or whatever. But what are you striving for? What are you setting out for?
Yeah, what's your why?
Have some sort of intent. Exactly. What is your why?
So let me ask you guys that then. What's your why?
Well, it's a really good
Why are you
question
doing
because I've actually been thinking about this quite a lot.
Why are we doing this?
And one of the things we've just done our Q2 review with our team, and we spoke about actually we're so constantly looking at what can we do better, how do we kind of keep pushing and keep driving and for this growth, etc. But actually, like, are we really enjoying the journey? Like, what are we all doing this for? You know, so for example, we've only just started to implement working from home. So we've now given everyone 1 day a week from home. It's something that we're looking at as a business. We was also working 8:30 till 5:30. You know, and we were feeling burnt out. So we've now cut that down to 5. And we're just like trying to make sure that we're looking after our people a little bit. I know they're, really minor things, but they actually 2.5 hours back and to work from home a day compared to being in 8:30 to 5:30, 5 days a week.
It's a
change.
Habitual change.
100%.
And I think traditionally, where we've worked in the corporate world, and it's rah and it's who's got the biggest personality, who wants to get that pair of Chanel shoes, who wants to go on this big trip away. Like that isn't everybody's motivators, and more it's becoming.
Especially since the pandemic.
Yeah, it's.
I was going to say, have you guys
evolved.
noticed the shift in people like when we were like kind of agency, consultants, senior consultants, managing consultants, all the rest of it? There was a lot more of a certain type of recruiter.
100%. I think when you look at it, what were the drivers? So like if I compare my journey, it was like if I do this, I can earn that. So I was driven by like the financial element of wanting to have more to kind of better my kind of future. I've got 2 children, and so that was my driver. But yeah, it's definitely the scope's definitely changed in terms of what people's priorities are. And you think that everyone's wired up the same as you, but they're absolutely not.
No.
It's taken us a while to learn that, but you know what? There are still so many business leaders out there that don't get it.
It's a tough lesson to learn. Like for us, I mean, I had a business partner who was very traditional and old school, and we would clash all the time about these sorts of things. Because I'd kind of be like, you keep banging on about commission, and you created this commission calculator for them. They don't give a shit. Not a single one of them. Yeah. We used to pick up a job and immediately be like, I'm going to make this much. If I feel that, I'm getting this much.
Yep.
Slap that onto my accelerator. Oh, yes, it's happening. Like that was the first thing. Before I even emailed out to clients and candidates or whatever to say I've got a job on, I'd check my commission calculator first. So these guys don't do that. They don't care.
Do you know what the first time, as soon as a job comes in, the first thing we ask is it exclusive?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to work against 3 other agencies
Yeah.
that I know are not going to go above and beyond and deliver
Because
the
it
service.
then becomes a rat race, and actually you tend to cut corners. Anyone does. If you're up against it, actually, if you take a little bit more time but do things
the right way.
with the process behind it. We've spent like 4 years embedding process into our business, because you mentioned earlier, you guys still on the tools? Do you still place candidates? We don't. We're still heavily involved in relationship side of things. But how many years, Chris, have we like trying to get everything out of here? You know, we set up a business. We weren't great business people. We were bloody good recruiters, and so everything up here was then padded out through the business, so that actually it didn't matter if Samantha, who looks after systems and processes and onboarding and all of that, is doing an induction, or us, the same message is going out. This is what, yes, we're not heavily KPI focused and we don't crack the whip on the amount of CV sent, but we have standards and there is a process to follow. And if you do X, Y, and Z, you will get a great result for your customer and for your candidate. And so that's kind of the most important thing that we have lived by.
So what is your hiring strategy then? Do you guys bring on trainees? Do you go straight for the experienced recruiters? Are you attracting them with commission packages?
95% of our workforce is, I mean, we don't have a massive team. I think there's 12 of us altogether, including Shakira, who's off on maternity at the moment. So 95% is homegrown. So no recruitment experience, no bad habits. We learn from the bottom up. We have hired people with experience before, but it's not quite worked out. I think just because they can sometimes be set in their ways and not kind of quite understand the way that we like to do things, which is a little bit differently.
Right? Yeah,
so
you guys are set in your ways, and you're kind of like,
and
it's my business. So I want people to be set in my ways, not their way.
That's not, that's a reflection on us.
Yeah,
because we've got really high standards and want things not doing a certain way.
Where I think the tables turned is that a lot of really good recruiters went into the pandemic, good recruiters, and came out the other side, but weren't willing to twist and turn with what was coming at them. They're kind of been left behind. So they either work for organisations that are tired, that aren't, innovative, and they're closing offices, they're trying to cut costs and cutting corners wherever they can. And so the good ones are very rare. Like they're really hard to come by.
Definitely.
So that has
Well, the
been
good ones did what we did, which is back themselves and go and set up on their own, right? Because they're like, if I can make the same amount of money and work less and get my time back, or have an opportunity to grow and scale something decent, then I'm going to take them points on that. Because I mean, we all know the pandemic changed mindset for a lot of people.
A moment ago, you asked kind of what does that look like for us long term, and I think the more Gemma and I sit and think about it, it's actually to really drive standards within the industry.
Okay.
Not just from a recruitment agency perspective, but also from a client's perspective as well. We mentioned it around Mixxos and the rebrand, and it's a strategic rebrand to do with looking at the whole recruitment process and how it's broken. And the key thing for us is to make sure that everyone gets an equal opportunity. So that diversity, equity, and inclusion has absolutely got to be at the forefront of it. We kind of spoke about it on the call the other day. It's like, I am the most privileged category of them all. I'm a middle-aged white British man, right? So me talking about it is probably going to be more powerful than someone from an ethnic minority or from a religious background. It can be more powerful because I'm from Luton originally, which is probably the most multicultural, diverse town in the whole of the UK. I've got friends from every different walk of life, and actually you do see them not get treated fairly. And it is the one story that we always talk about is when we went to Jamaica. We used to go out with my friends and be like, oh, people are staring at us when we walk in a restaurant, and I would be like, no, they're not. What are you talking about? Like, it's in your mind. Like, we went to Jamaica. We went to Montego Bay, me and Jem, and we walked into a restaurant. We were the only white people in there, and everybody in the whole restaurant turned around and stared at us. And we sat down. I said we looked at each other, didn't we? We were like, this is really uncomfortable.
Gives you a taste.
It was like,
it does give you a flavour.
Now I understand. It's not in their head. Like, this is genuine. Like, this happens. And to be honest, we ended up having a really good time, didn't we? It wasn't like we wasn't in danger or anything like that. Everyone looked at us.
Yeah, they looked because it was, this is different, or this is usual, right?
Two white people, a blonde lady and a white male. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is absolutely at the forefront, and to make sure that we're driving that and championing that. Obviously, we're working really closely with the REC at the moment around kind of training and development of our staff, but it's intertwined with our brand, and we want to be at the forefront of it in our local market, but also as we grow and scale across the UK, because we, part of the plan is to open up other offices, is to do that. Someone said to me, why?
Yeah, why?
Because we spoke to our CFO about it, and he said, well, if someone offered you 5 million today for the business, would you sell it? And I was like, 3 years ago, I would have said, yeah, 100%. I would give up and take the 5 million and I'd miss everyone. Run a mile.
You would see me again.
But like now, it's like actually like we still own the same money that we did when we started, but financially, we're not millionaires. Of course we're not, but we live a nice lifestyle, and I don't really need any more money because I think that would just overcomplicate.
I think the whole reason
and
we started this was we had a much bigger purpose, and we worked in the world of corporate where you don't have much of an impact, and actually the higher up you go, the more exposure you have to just how business works, particularly in the world of recruitment. And for us, it was like we just had a massive vision, probably unbelievably bigger than we could have ever, like the growth that we've had in the last few years, I would say was far greater than the vision that we had, and our vision was pretty big. So for us, it was about having a bigger purpose. Neither of us went to university. Yes, we had grit, determination, resilience, discipline, and actually that's what you need to be a good recruiter. And when you think recruitment is the one single common theme that runs through the pain of every business, but yet it's the one thing that every business needs to get right in order to be successful.
100%.
And so I think we're so underplayed and dumbed down as an industry to what we have to offer, and just how great an impact we do have on the rest of the world and the economy and everything. It has just one big cycle. So for us, it's like we didn't start this to scale it aggressively, sell it. Yeah, it would be lovely. Listen, tomorrow I would jet off to an island somewhere, and I would actually take my laptop with me. It probably still works. I think I'd find a house.
Find something to do. Yeah.
Right, but we've done this. We have a purpose, and we want to just share. We don't come from privileged background. Neither of us become working class.
It started from early with Gemma. She went to dance school. I don't know if you're familiar. We've got two young daughters, so maybe that might be something that happens. But dancing's very dancing's like a very dog eat dog world. It's who you know. Get a leg up. If your dad's got money, you get in the back door. Like Gemma and I, both from working class families, she got a scholarship to Italia Conti, fully paid. Like that's like 0.1% get that.
Yeah, but was I the most gifted or naturally talented dancer and singer? No, absolutely not. It's because I knew what I wanted and I knew what I needed to do to get there, and I trained morning, noon, and night. And I do feel like that's the mentality that has been slightly lost in the recruitment industry. It's like instant gratification.
But I think like Gemma had that start, obviously with my BMX, and you have to work for everything you've ever got. It's you and 7 other blokes coming off a hill. It's a 40-second sprint race, and anything goes pretty much. It's pretty brutal. Yeah. And I think like coming from working class backgrounds, having friends that are so, some of our friends could be working hospitality on minimum wage. We've got other friends that are running businesses that are far more successful than us, but we can relate to all of them. And I think like to be able to give people a fair chance, and for everyone to have opportunities, and then it's kind of down to them to take it. I think that's something that we're both really passionate about. Especially, I know that I would say kind of 80% of our business is Milton Keynes, and then 15% Luton and 5% Bedford. But Luton is a town that's obviously close to my heart, and also Gemma's, because that's where we're from, and not everyone gets them opportunities. And I think to be able to offer that and educate not just the recruitment industry but actually our clients, I think that's something that we're really passionate about. How many times have you had a client that would say, give me a girl that's under 25, or I don't want a man that's 65 and going to retire, and you can't. We're in 2024. You can't be asking questions like that. So it's about.
It doesn't matter what year it is. You shouldn't be asking questions like that. But unfortunately,
of course,
people still do, right?
I mean, it is getting better. But I mean, in the 80s, 90s,
people just very clever at who they ask that question to now. That's my take on it.
I think maybe it's because we've got clients that ethically and morally align with us, and we don't really get asked it a lot.
Yeah, those people have always existed.
But you know
it's
what?
The ones that kind of.
Nitin, when the pressure's on and you work for someone else and you have a target to hit, quite frankly, you don't really care. Yeah. And you turn a blind eye and you overlook that.
If I've got a supervisor, manager, director sitting on my shoulder going, you need to place in the next 2 weeks, otherwise you're out the door. And the only person that's engaging with me is, this knobhead engineering manager. It's like, I don't hire any women. I don't care if your welder's got 10 years TIG experience. She's a woman, she ain't going to fit into this environment, get me a bloke. Oh, and don't send me anyone with a funny name, which I've had. Exactly that scenario we've had. You know, don't send me anybody with a funny name.
You're going to tell me you hand in your resignation, right?
No. I filled it. I filled it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
It is Mark Stevens, and I was like, there you go.
Imagine,
Shift as well on my books, you can have it.
So I'm like, we're under no illusions, yeah. To us,
Yeah, it's
we're
not
really
gonna happen.
passionate about ED&I, right? But to our people, they're on the journey, but they're still learning. And so they're like, oh, what does that mean? Like, would they even raise a hand and say, I'm not overly sure how to combat this?
Yeah.
So we are putting them through like various courses to ensure that they're equipped with what they need. But to have us as leaders, I can only imagine people that do work like we've just discussed, and they've got this boss and all they care about is hit your numbers. And so it's like, okay, pressure's on. I kind of just need to do what I need to do to get it over the line.
And I was in an environment like that. My very first job in recruitment, I had a director that was like very much like that. Numbers, it was like, yeah, he was a pretty direct, it wasn't a nice environment to work in. But on reflection, it actually really worked for me because I was, a bit of a rogue, bit of a character. Steady on. I kind of needed that discipline because it's ingrained in me now. I think if I had a director that was really kind of lenient, I think I would just push the boundaries. So it actually worked really well for me, but at the same time, it's about getting that
personal preference.
Yeah, it's about getting that right mix now. See what I did there, mix. Okay. It happens all the time. I was in a meeting this morning and the client said like mix 3 times. Obviously,
on cue.
At the time we haven't gone to market yet. It goes out on the 1st of May, which I think the podcast is going to go out.
This will
after
come
that.
out
So
after that.
I think you're the second person that knows about Mixxos outside of our team. So I was in a meeting this morning, the client was like, oh, we need to get the right mix. And I was thinking, I'm so close to like telling you, like, so yeah, but there we go.
No, fair. So exciting times for you guys then. So what is the next? So we know what the last 3 years have been, year-on-year growth, strategy. We've remained kind of localised, as you said, moved into new verticals. Mm-hmm. What's the next 3 years? What's the plan? You said you met with your CFO. I'm sure you went through some sort of forecast of like, here we are now. Yeah, let's go. I think 2027 when we meet again and we sit down and go, right then guys, what happened?
I'll give you like
sold for 5 million
in Barbados, missing everyone. I'll give you like
a deco boy.
Yes,
snapshot.
Real headlines are to double down on what we're doing, really segregate our markets, which is the head office commercial area and industrial and warehouse. Industrial and warehouse is a growing division for us, being based where we are. It's become a distribution hub from junction 9 on the M1 up to kind of 15, so St Albans to Northampton. Obviously, we're based in Eversholt, which is centralised to Milton Keynes, Luton, and Milton Keynes, Bedford, and Luton. Like I said, predominantly our work is 80% Milton Keynes and 10% Bedford and 10% Luton. So absolutely keep doing what we're doing in Milton Keynes, expand Bedford and Luton. That'll be the next 2 to 3 years to continue on we're on around 100% growth year on year for the last 3 years. Ideally, keep on that trajectory, but without compromising our service and the clients that we partner with and getting the right people in the business. Funnily enough, we don't look that far ahead. I know that's crazy, but we like to really take it quarter by quarter because very much firm believers of if you do the right thing every single day, the rest of it looks after itself. So
it's more about the destination though, right? You've got to have a destination in mind, because otherwise you could just be going around in circles.
Yeah, I think the catalyst of kind of the real skyrocket of the growth has really been behind us launching a temporaries desk, which we've now got 2. So the plan, as underpinning that growth is to slightly imbalance the business mix with very perm premium top heavy at the moment. Mix. That wasn't intended.
I'm gonna have a mixed counter up here. Every time the word mix is said,
get the cocktails going. But to get more of an imbalance so that we're more temp top heavy.
Definitely.
We do perm really well. We've got so much loyal perm premium business.
How long before you move to a retained model on the perm side then?
Well, we do have some on retained, but not as many as what we would like. And funnily enough, we probably should do it more because a lot of our relationships are exclusive relationships.
I was going to say, you've got all the fundamentals in place there, right? Which is that we only like really exclusive roles.
100%.
Fill ratios are good. You offer a good, rebate and guarantee. So actually, moving to that retained model might It's something that I think we just never did very much of when I ran my agency, and I wish we did more of, because I know from a consultant's perspective, they feel so much more value in what they do when they work retained, because there's almost this like kind of, you've got, you know, your sort of your everyday recruiters that do kind of, you know, admin, secretarial, and that kind of thing, bundled in one group, and then you've got the exclusive kind of, you know, I only deal with 80k salaries upwards and my minimum fee is 10 grand, and then you've got your executive headhunters and your search and select people, and you've got this pool of retained people, and whether they admit it or not, every agency consultant wants to be in a, I want to be one of these guys up here. You know? I want to deal with like the big boy jobs. I want to deal with the big fees. I want to deal with just retained.
Our current setup, in terms of like our delivery team who deliver on our existing business that we already have, I know it's not a retained model, but it almost is, because we have 100% fulfillment rate on exclusive vacancies, and our clients work the way we want to work. They don't even review CVs, so we have.
So, but this is it. So transitioning those guys to that retained model is so easy, right? Because you kind of go, look, as a business, we're now going through, you know, an expansion journey. We want to expand more into the Luton and the Bedworth markets, which means that, you know, we're going to have to spend a lot more time on that side. So for us to continue offering you the level of service that we do and everything else, we're moving to a retained model. What does that look like? Exactly the same thing that you're getting right now. Difference is you pay part of the fee up front so that we can justify putting the people that we've got working on these vacancies on those vacancies. You know, and you're already offering that kind of extended rebate, and you know the other value add stuff that a lot of the agencies don't. People get really confused with retained, and they're like, you know, all it is about kind of like paying you up front, basically. That's the only value. It's
that rule, isn't it? It's like, do what you've always done kind of thing. Because before Gemma come on board, we didn't even open a temps desk. It was my idea of hell. I was like, oh, all that admin, all that payroll, like all of these people calling you.
You know, like the craziest things, we just had standardised terms, 30-day payment. What do you mean 30 days? 7 days? Yeah, appreciate there are some temp contracts.
But then that's your negotiating position, isn't it?
Yeah, but so we literally pulled everything back.
You've done little things there, though, that again, a lot of the business mentors and a lot of the kind of the coaches and stuff that are out there on LinkedIn will kind of encourage business to do. If you're perm heavy, move to temp. Done that, you know. If you're, you know, kind of here, there and everywhere and very generalist, pick some niches or some sectors and verticals and stick within them. Tick, you've done that, you know. Keep geographical. If it's a case that you know your market dictates geographical kind of specialism, then tick to that, and you're like, tick, we're doing that. I think, you know, organically grow. Don't lend yourself, you know, don't lend, you know, to fill a gap or to fill a cash flow issue and that kind of thing. So you kind of almost without realising done all the right things, right?
Yeah, well, I think Gemma and I, we're very driven and we're very ambitious, you know, as leaders. We've been, I say lucky, but you kind of create your own luck, is we've got a really good team in our corner that advise us. So we have a guy, we haven't even touched on it, but I won't go into too much detail, but we have a guy called Aaron Stewart, who's originally from Luton, but he lives in Austin, Texas now. He runs a large tech recruitment company to do with AI, blockchain, all that side of things. They're called job.com. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Job.com. He's one of the largest shareholders in them and the founder.
Amazing.
And they're humongous in America. So he's an advisor to our board and a personal friend to Gemma and I, and he's been great. It was the one that put us in contact with Michael Sterling, who's our CFO. Again, he's been fantastic. But also Gemma and I are very different people, which really complements each other. So I think that, yes, we're both ambitious, we're both driven, but we both have different styles that actually really complement each other. And being able to have two people in your corner that you can trust implicitly, it makes you risk, like it takes kind of the risk out of it, if that makes sense. From that perspective, we've kind of, all of the things you've mentioned, we've kind of almost made them decisions without knowing that we've made them decisions, because it's like, well, industrial warehouse, if you had said to me 5 years ago, let's open an industrial warehouse temp desk, I would have laughed you out the room. But now it's like, we're in that market, it's surrounded by us, every agency around us is trying to get a piece of the pie, and actually, if we implement,
we're better.
We airdrop our head office commercial process into that area, and we find the better talent.
We don't deviate from that process, and I think that's where we really stand tall against our competition, in that it is a box ticking exercise for a lot of industrial warehouse recruitment. For us, we're so more, it's more complex. It kind of go a lot deeper into it, and actually we get better results, don't we? And we cherry pick the business that we know that we can partner with and that we can fulfill.
Yeah.
It's
we're not on the 10p margin vibes.
And it's not,
No.
I need someone
And
right
again,
now for one shift.
It's the same as the 10% perm. Like,
Nothing
fee
wrong with that,
as
by
well.
the way.
Yeah,
Guys, if you want that, that's cool, but that's not our
yeah, if you
market.
want to graft for that, then
100%.
And I think that's it. You've got to pick either one or the other. You can't be striving for these high fees and premium service and then dropping your pants at every given opportunity. It's got to be.
But fundamentally, it comes back to that pressure thing, right? Whether that pressure is because it's your own business and you've made some, silly financial decisions, and now you're up against it. You're like, shit, I just need revenue, or whether it's because you've got a manager or a leadership team that are like, don't give a shit to fit it by any means necessary.
Yeah, it's really funny you mentioned that. I just had like a light bulb. Like, I remember when Gemma joined and she was like, right, the first thing we need to do is have, with the pandemic and stuff, obviously everything that the world went crazy, right? And the first thing Gemma kind of said was, she joined and she was like, right, what does the cash flow, what does like the bank account look like? And I was like, don't worry, like it's all good. She was like, well, no, actually, like we need 6 months worth of revenue in the bank to survive. So if the world shuts off tomorrow, you can survive 6 months. And I was looking at her thinking, she's crazy. There's no like we're not having a 6 month revenue. Like we're just driving, we're reinvesting. Anyway, funnily enough, we have now. But
that's the pace
at
to
the
be.
time,
That's exactly the pace
but now
to be.
we can be so much more particular in terms of what we want, because it's not like actually we can't get through next month unless we take that 10% contract against 4 other agencies and fight for it. Whereas actually now,
and because in doing that, what you don't kind of appreciate at the time when you are kind of up against the cosh is that you're taking a resource that could make you 3, 4, 5 times that 10% fee that you're running after. You're taking them off what they could be doing to chase something that they shouldn't be doing.
100%.
And again, there's other things that you guys are doing where, and we touched on this sort of downstairs when we get the drinks in, is that like me and my business partner used to clash on a lot of different things, and one of the key things was he would still be running a desk, and I'm like, how can you manage the team and the business if you're actively running a desk? We have to take a step back. We've now got to start running.
It goes back to that
business.
doing what you've always done. Like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because for him it was like,
success.
well, if we're feeling, exactly. That was it. And I get it, because for him it was sort of like, I don't trust anybody to do it as well
Do you
as
know
I
what?
do it, so I'm going to do it.
That's a really good point. So I want to say 18 months ago, Aaron Stewart quite rightly said to us, you guys need to figure out what hat you're wearing.
Yeah.
You're both doing everything. No wonder you're burnt out. We're like, we're so passionate and this and that and replacements and da. And then Chris is like, but I don't feel successful if I'm not like bringing on business and making placements.
It's like a different success.
Different mentality. And actually,
I almost feel bad being here today. Like, without the opportunity of having a cider.
And it's
like,
a Tuesday.
2 o'clock in Coventry drinking a cider. Like all of our staff's like at the I know that sounds really weird, but like. It just
No, I get it. I completely get it.
So I can resonate with that.
But
I think to grow it, you have to take your head out the sand and to be fair, Gemma's really good at it.
My thing, sort of towards back end of last year, was that like I realised that I need to sort of just stop and smell the flowers. That was a big thing for me, because I was so just head down, go do this, go do that, focus on this, focus on that, and then our world come crashing down. Right, we had to close the recruitment business. That was the thing that we were so proud of, and I've got to look at my family now in the face and be like, oh yeah, no, things didn't quite work out. Oh yeah, shit, okay, that's really bad. What you're doing now? And I was kind of like, I'm working on the RecTalk thing in the podcast, and it's just me at the minute, and I've gone from having an office for the staff and all that sort of shit to feeling important to, Daddy, can you take me to school? Daddy, can you do this? And can you make sure you put the dishwasher on when you're at home and all that? You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, this is nice. I like this. I like the fact that I can be like, I'm filming a podcast today. So this morning I'll go drop the kids off to school, go and get Starbucks, check some emails, put a couple of posts on LinkedIn, fire out some of the stuff.
I think you learn from it as well, though. Like what you're saying is like, our 3 years, 100% growth year on year hasn't always been like that.
No.
Like I struggled so much, like in the early days, like I
Because you
said
just
to you earlier,
yourself.
I had like $7,000 to start the business. I had 3 months to find, and I got to like the 3rd month before I made my first placement, and it was like I was 2 weeks away from it all finishing. And prior to that, the BMX, and I went on a real trajectory with it, and I hit like 17 and realised I wasn't gonna make a living from it. And it was like, you're almost like a
Now what do I do?
you're almost like a famous person in a world where you're not going to make any revenue. So you think I'm going to be a professional BMX racer. Oh, actually, there's no money in it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was
Starting
back on
over
the tools in a construction site, and it was like, so I went, oh, super successful. Oh God, I'm really a loser. I'm working as a nothing wrong with that, by the way. Like working in a construction
You feel
site.
that, given that you
100%.
you thought your life was going to be like
100%.
Yeah, there's a like a famous Matthew McConaughey quote around that, which is like, your life's always going to have ups and downs. So enjoy the ups when they're there, because you're always going to. There's never a point in anyone's life where they're going to be like, I have no stress, no concern, no nothing. Everything is fantastic. Like that just doesn't happen, right?
If there is, let me know the rest.
Yeah, fucking yeah. How did you get that?
All that. I'll drink some of that.
Yeah, what did you do to get there? Yeah.
It's a key driver, isn't it, for most though, right? It's kind of what happens to you either makes you or breaks you, and in most cases, in success and in businesses, it makes you, doesn't it? And sitting here today is really important for us because one of the things that we also spoke about earlier was the profiling, and we've laid really low up until this point. We've grown
100%.
like astronomically, but we've been really quiet about it. And everyone says, why are you not making noise? And we were like, well, we are about to rebrand.
No one can pronounce.
No one can say our company name. So what does it matter? But we've kind of been backwards and forwards with names and different branding and the voice and the message behind it for 6 months? Probably longer than that, actually. I'm not
We've been trying to think of a name for about 2 years. It's been painful, but it didn't ring true to us and our story, and
we wanted to get that
be,
right. Yeah, and some of the things that we're doing behind the scenes, we don't give ourselves enough credit for, and because probably you don't see the ROI straight away, and that is things like hosting events for our clients. It's not just about you're not consultative because you sent a salary survey, or you know what I mean. So it's like all of these
when we were on our call, when you said that to me, I was like, they get it. They get it.
100%.
At your own cost, you put on an event where 70 potential decision makers of not only current clients but prospect clients
and the knowledge in that room as well.
They've gained from each other because they've networked amongst themselves and whatnot. And who was it that arranged all of that? You guys. Yeah. So the next time they meet up and they're like, oh yeah, where did you meet? Oh, we met at this networking event thing. Oh, what was that? Oh, it was these guys, this agency that we use. Oh, yeah, well, I need an agency. Let me. The value and the power of the growth of that comms
We're
network.
people connectors. Recruiters are people connectors.
Right.
There is no way better to do it than to find a quirky venue, partner with the sickest company in your network, and then invite people, connect them. What are you smiling at?
It's true though, isn't it? Yeah.
Or
you can just hit the phones.
So like
or you could phone bash,
Are you recruiting? No. Are you recruiting? No. Are you recruiting? Yes. Come on.
The rebrand with Mixxos, like we literally in 2 weeks' time we're having a rebrand launch party.
My invite's probably lost in the post, right? No, you don't know where to send it.
You're invited.
You're probably sending it here.
Cob's not that far.
Coventry straight into Amptill. But we've got 65 clients coming.
Amazing.
For a 2-course sit-down meal and free drinks, and just to say thank you. And some of them have only spent £4 or £5 with us. I know that's a lot of money, but I'm saying, for example,
scale of things,
and we've got other ones that have spent hundreds of thousands with us. So for us, it's we want to share with them why we're rebranding, what our story is behind that, and we want to say thank you to them. Yeah. See,
because right now, I'm a real kind of advocate of this, right? The sales world is changing massively. People seem to be, especially in recruitment, seem to be getting left behind and not adapting to it. Most business is done these days on referrals and networking. That is it. Whether your business gets referred to people or you network out with people and they do business with you. Mm-hmm. No one is buying off a fucking cold call. Despite what Uncle Gary is telling you, no one's doing that. Nobody's going, let me just find Google and go on a website that's ranking agencies from top 1 to 10. No one's buying that shit anymore, right? People are going to these things and they're going, oh, this is really nice. I've spent $4,000 with this agency, right? Might not be as much as this person next to me who spent $100,000, but they still invited me to this. That's really nice. 100%. And I feel like, if nothing more, on a very human level, I feel like I probably need to throw them a bone the next time I'm recruiting.
But we don't do that for that.
but that's
You're
the
not doing it for that.
but that's the byproduct of doing that, though. That's the
100%.
point.
Of course it is.
You know,
But the whole point.
You don't go and
behind
make
it
friends
isn't-
with someone because
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
oh, I wonder what I can get out of being friends with
No,
you.
100%.
You go and make friends with someone because
But the
it's a
thing
natural human thing to do. The byproduct of that is,
100%.
if I need you at 4 a.m. because something's gone wrong, you're going to answer the phone. Why?
100%.
Because I've socially invested in you. Business
No,
works
definitely.
in exactly the same way. Social investment counts for something.
Gemma and I are both really lucky that we both get that. That comes completely natural to us.
Yeah.
Because
That's it.
we're people. We're people's people. Does that mean?
Yeah, people.
The people's people.
We're the people's people.
That should have been your name of the company.
Damn.
Fucking Mixxos, but
People.
We've still got time, we can change this.
Sorry, I can't deal with a headache. I learnt really, really early on in business that it's important to be interested and be interesting. So
This is going to be a podcast first, but I'm going to go to the loo.
Oh, there you go. That was a short video from one of our partners at RecTalk's Zodec. If you're looking for an invoice financing provider that works with you to come up with a tailored solution, Zodec are your guys. So you guys are an award-winning recruitment business, right? Tell me a bit about that and how much did you pay for them?
Yeah, I'm smiling.
Congratulations, you're small business
That's
of the
what
year
everyone-
for £5,000.
Yeah. No, that's cheap. Send me them awards. Yes, so we won Best Small UK Company to Work for from the Staff in Industry Analysts Awards.
Amazing.
Was it end of April?
Mm-hmm.
End of April. Sorry. End of March.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we won that. I think they sent out a survey to all your staff, and basically your staff fill it all in, and you know they just basically they take feedback, and then I think they shortlist it, and then we was announced the winner. So
Amazing.
yeah, there was obviously when you win these things, there's always kind of the add-ons, bolt-ons.
We didn't fly to Vegas for the awards night, did we, Chris?
When it come
I
up,
was in Vietnam,
Vegas, Gemma was like, "Should we go?" And I was like, "Absolutely no, we're not going to Vegas."
Have you been?
No, we haven't actually. We're gonna go, but I was like, we're not going for the SIA awards even.
I mean, that's a good way to put it through as a business expense.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Maybe next year.
Sneak that in, and then just be like, we just didn't get
But
it.
yeah, no, we won that, and like you said, there's always these little bolt-on things. We didn't entertain that. So, and then also we've recently been nominated for Best Small Company for MK and Buckinghamshire SME Awards, which is coming up in June, I believe, in June.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
excellent.
Fingers crossed for that one. But there's some great businesses that we're up against. It's one of them moments where it's almost like imposter syndrome, right? You see the category you're in and some of the companies you're against. And you're like, what? Us?
This comes back down to the not enjoying the little things or not enjoying the wins on the way.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentally, you're kind of still like. I've started doing that more and more recently, especially with like the success of the podcast, where I'm like, shit, we've hit 5,000 subscribers. Shit, we've hit. Like kind of mid-April, we were at 8,000 subscribers. I was like, fuck yeah, that's big.
Yes,
I've got to stop to celebrate this because otherwise, and I remember when I was celebrating hitting 1,000, like, yeah, we did it, and now we're like, okay, and it kind of makes it a bit less at the time, but you've got to take that time to go.
I think
that was
deep down, because we're in a service-driven industry, right? Everywhere you go, you get a service, and as business leaders in a service-driven industry. You never quite get the service that you expect.
No.
Whereas like we always say, well, if that was my business, I would have done anything to make that customer happy or da da da. So deep down, but I guess it's just when something like that crops up, you're like, oh wow.
Yeah,
like,
it's nice to be recognised.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but no, I think obviously as a business and as leaders, we expect our people within our business to make sure that our clients and our candidates are happy and we're delivering on that service time and time again. And we spoke about earlier about not resting on your laurels and making sure that you go above and beyond time and time again because you're only as good as your last placement. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Very true. Yeah, very true.
I feel like actually post-pandemic that's been lost even more is that the people element, the service, it's very transactional.
Everyone's cutting costs.
There's AI, there's this, there's that, the CV service. The right customers.
Overall, absolutely, that's happened.
One of our clients sent us like an 8% email. 8%. this prospect email to one of our is actually a friend of mine now, one of our clients in Bedfordshire. He sent me the email. It said, you could be one of our valued 2,000 customers.
Amazing.
2,000 customers, really valued, and we will do an introductory fee at 8%. And I messaged him back. I said, let me know how you get on. Give us a shout once they mess it up for you. 8% and a valued 2,000 customers. I mean, if we had 2,000 customers, I think we'd be laughing.
I remember I knew a guy who was breaking in with some really big clients in the local area, and I have no idea what that banging is. I don't like
popping balloons. They're popping balloons.
Oh, are they? That's what that is. Yeah. It's gunshots. We're in Coventry. That's what it is.
It's not. It's the disappointment.
It's
disappointment.
It's the local hits. That's what it is.
We're used to it. We're from Luton.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but I had this he started breaking in with these really big clients. I was like, how is he doing this? He literally just started this, that, and the other. And then a really good talent acquisition mate of mine, one of our clients, got in touch and was like, so you know that guy? Yeah. He's like announcing all over LinkedIn how he's working with these guys, this, that, and the other. He's offering the first 3 placements for free.
Wow.
First 3 placements for free.
I heard that someone.
Of course, you're going to break in with these.
Something else I heard was that a recruitment agency was offering a 1-year financial guarantee. It's like 1 year.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
I spoke to somebody not long ago where he was on about, I just let my clients pay their fees back to me monthly. I was like, sorry? Some can't afford the 6-7 grand it's going to cost to bring in a finance manager. So I let them pay monthly. And I'm like, so like a 10.
And how many months?
Yeah, I let them choose 3, 6, 9, 12 months. It's up to them. I was just like, this is nuts.
All this creative.
So you think that if that candidate leaves within 12 months, but they're on a 12-month payment plan, they couldn't continue to pay it because, goodwill and all that. He's like, well, no, I'll take it to
the
court.
only industry that does all this work behind the scenes and still has to fight for a fee, right?
Don't get us started.
And the only industry that's got...
No, it is nuts though. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Every March, April, your hairdressers...
Imagine saying to British Airways, look, no, fly me to Vegas and transfer me to the hotel and everything. I'll pay you when I get there. I'll pay you when I arrive at the hotel.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's not going to happen, is it? No one does
30
it.
days from arrival.
Yeah. Send me the invoice.
So
and then I'll tell you you're missing the PO number, and I'll tell you that you missed my payment when it'll be next month.
The address is wrong.
The
number's wrong.
Yeah. I don't recall this. You need to send me evidence of this. Yeah.
What do they say? That we're the 3rd bashed industry behind car sales and estate agency, right?
100%.
Because, but the job, car sales to a side, estate agency, at least that has a barrier to entry. We have no barrier to entry. That's the problem. And then we have leaders who, like the ones that we talk about, where all they care about is just bash the bones, just get out there, make fees. Don't care what you do, how you do it. So they hire all these people in that ain't got a clue, and they don't give them the proper support and training. 100%. And then they sit there and go, "Oh, why is the industry such a mess?" I'm just like, you can't dump sewage into the river and then be like, the river can't be swimming. I don't know why, and I don't know whose responsibility it is. And we're the same. We've ruined our own talent pool. And then we sit there and complain about it, right?
It's great for us because of when we do things properly, people realise how good it is. But then at the same time, it's our biggest Achilles heel because it's like you get tarred with the same brush. And it's like, this is why when we spoke earlier, we spoke about what would you like to get out of it. For us, it's about, yes, obviously exposure for our relaunch and our rebrand and what we're doing, but also it's like to drive the standards within the industry because, we're by no means perfect, but what we are is very self-reflective. Yeah. And what we want to do is just keep driving to become the best version of what we can be. And also, if we can add value along the way and, there's enough work out there for everyone. There is, believe it or not, there is enough work out there for everyone. I promise you that. You don't need to cut corners and do immoral things to win business and you just don't need to do it. Do the right things every single day and it will look after itself.
Where we spent so much time in the States, everybody, I don't know, it's very rah-rah out there, isn't it? And very, very glass half full. But you know what? People are happy for you. They're happy to share good things that they're onto. And I feel like me and Chris are sitting here today. We're not scared of people listening in and thinking, oh, they do that. Let me do that.
You should be doing that.
The industry in general, they're like that.
Because what you're not
saying... It will just raise the bar and it just makes...
You're not sitting there going, here's the golden recipe, the secret formula, right? Here's that 11th herb that he won't tell you about. Like, there is no secret recipe to this. You treat people properly. You treat clients and candidates properly. When someone wants feedback, you give it to them. If somebody didn't get the job, you tell them they didn't get the job. If a client says, I don't want a fat person, you say, sorry, I ain't working with you because you can't do that. That's not right. I'm not working with you. It's simple, moral, human decisions that you can make that will result in actually kind of a successful business on the other end.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sitting there being like, we've got this secret bit of technology that does the job 10 times better.
You make it sound so easy, but they're things that you've kind of ingrained into you from a young age. You can't teach people that. You've either got that or you haven't, and a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing I would say is with the pandemic and all that stuff, it's a whole different subject, is that it's just enlightened and brought it to the forefront a lot more of how immoral people really are and what they would do to get what they want. So, you know, to find people like that is really difficult. But yeah, you're right. It's about doing what you say you're going to do and treating people as people and doing the right thing.
I think, Nitin, have you seen our Google reviews? They are...
I did have a look, yes.
Literally, if you just cherry pick maybe 5 to 10, they're all in harmony. And these aren't, the people aren't writing about us, they're writing about our people, our consultants.
There's a tonality to them, and there's a trend to all of them. Yeah. We had the same when it was just me and Sean when we ran our recruitment business. Every review would be Nitin great at this, Nitin and Sean were good at this, Nitin, Sean, and that kind of thing. And then as we kind of grew and expanded, we lost that. We lost that individuality piece because then it became they're good agency to work for, like 3 or 4 words at best, and that was prompted by our guys pushing that out there. And fundamentally, it's because we didn't do that. What you guys are doing, where we didn't kind of go, this is the vision and the mission of the business. This is why we are who we are and what we do, and it just became guys, our run rate is 30 grand a month. I don't give a fuck. You need to make 30 grand a month. We need to keep the doors open. Things are tough, things are tight.
Again,
and that became the focus.
Yeah, it's so difficult. I think, if you were to ask our team what our run rate is, they wouldn't have a clue. It's not their problem.
And
that's not their problem.
Their
problem is their problem, or it's not a problem, their job.
Their concern should
is
be
to find good people and match to what them good people want. We don't sell any jobs to anyone, right? You pick up the phone to a salesperson and say, why are you looking to leave? They say, because I hate sales. Well, you know that your sales
job that you've got in the background
isn't right. It's about qualification, listening to what people want.
I actually think candidates are conditioned to pick up the phone and be like, okay, just tell me what you've got then. And they want to skip to that part because they're not used to people caring and saying, what is it you want? Why are you looking? How can we help you?
They find it alien. They're like, God, this person's asking me so many questions.
This is weird.
We're just
weird for.
The more curious you are, the better the recruiter you're going to be.
Yeah.
And I was saying earlier, weren't I? Like, be interesting, but also be interested. And I think that's why we're investing so heavily in our profiling and our social media strategy. Most recruitment businesses, as we mentioned quite rightly, get on the phones. Why are you not on the phones? 8:30, 9 o'clock, get on the phones. And for us, it's like, how can you share your message and be credible and share, this whole array of knowledge that you have whilst helping people, whilst also potentially bringing on the odd customer here and there.
I'm laughing because if Gemma didn't join the business, I'd probably still be on the phones. I love the phones.
No one answers the phones these days, really.
No, they don't. No one ever answers them anymore.
Do you know who will answer the phone? People have got your number saved in their phone.
Yeah, 100%.
And do you know why they'll have your number saved in their phone? Because all the stuff that Gemma's on about.
Definitely.
And this is the thing where I keep facing a lot of kind of backlash at the minute, because I'm like, recruitment is not a sales game. It hasn't been for a long time, but there's so many people like that. It's a sales business. It's a sales floor. It's use sales tactics. And it's like, you can't sell somebody a job. You can't sell a candidate you sell a piece of meat or you sell an item of clothing. You don't sell a person. That's not the right attitude to have. So recruitment is no longer a sales job and hasn't been for a long time. Recruitment is a marketing activity because you market candidates to people. You market jobs to those candidates. You market yourself to prospects that you want to work with, right? And so, absolutely. 100%. People aren't answering the phones. Do you know who they are answering the phones to? The people whose fucking phone numbers are in their phone.
And the people.
And how do I get into your phone? How are you going to save my number?
The people that are offering an event that are going to get some actual general information.
You invited me out to this, and it doesn't always have to be an expensive event or whatever. You can put a webinar on. You could do podcasts. You could put out video content. You could put out a digital asset. You could go, right, do you know what? We've done a bit of market research with our candidate database. Do you want to see it? Of course 100%. I do. Perfect. Just let me know. Give me GDPR consent to send it to you. And let's jump on a Teams call next week and talk it through. Those are the little things that I can do to make sure that you're going to save my number in your phone so that when I do call you, you're going to go, oh, 100%. It's Chris. I'll answer that.
I had a client meeting this morning before we come here. Never worked with a client. The reason I met with them is to drop off the white paper from our employee value proposition event seminar. Met with 2 HR people, had a really good chat. Spoke about their business, where they're at. They use free agencies already, and I think they were expecting me to be like, oh, like use us, and I was like, well,
you mean you use 4?
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, use us. But I was like, okay, cool. Like, if it doesn't work out with them, just let us know, and we'll be there for backup. They were like, huh? I was like, oh yeah, by the way, as well. I know you haven't used us before, but if you need any salary information, you need any market research, you want to come to our next event, if you want to talk about your proposition, what are you doing internally before you go out to recruitment agencies? And they were like, well, not much. It's like, well, have you thought about doing like an internal referral scheme with all your current staff? You've got about 100 people here. So if you offer them 500 quid to find someone, and they were like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. What about like, are you posting on any of the job boards? What's your LinkedIn presence like? And all of a sudden they're looking at me thinking, this guy's trying to sell himself out of work.
Yeah, why are you not chasing the fee that is?
And I'm like, well, don't worry, listen, you've got my number. If you need anything from us, let me know and we can follow up and catch up. Anyway, we're on the way here. We've had an email from them saying I've got a job that you want to work on. And I was like, I genuinely wasn't expecting that because they've already got 2 free agencies that work with that. It was really refreshing to hear that they've got good relationships with them free agencies as well. So I was that.
But the relationship is a transactional
that's
relationship. That's the reality of it, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas you're offering a piece of kind of value that they're not getting from somewhere else without the need for a transaction at that point, 100%. Which is the bit I keep banging on about. It's exactly that.
I saw that.
Don't go for the transaction today. Give them something that's going to let them resonate and be like, I like that.
It might not necessarily be that it's bad. What they're getting is bad, but it's not the best. Yeah. It's like anything, a product that you use, a shower gel or a face care product, like. Until you try something else or until you give something else the time of day, you're never going to know if what you're using is the best out there.
You're not going to go, oh no, I only ever use this shower gel. Or well, why did you change from that one? That one stung.
It's like Chris.
It started stinging me.
Chris uses the same deodorant, the same shower gel since about 12, and he's like, no, I'm not using anything else.
Listen, we're going down a rabbit hole here because she's got a bag like that full of creams, like, and shower gels and all sorts. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, literally. Radox blue, right guard blue. I don't need nothing else.
Blue is the cleanest colour.
But them smells might suit me, you know. So, but going back, like when I was discussing this with the HR lady, I could see her cogs going, looking at me, thinking, "This guy is crazy." Like we've invited him in for a meeting, and all he's doing is giving us ideas of how not to use him. Gemma and I's job is not to take as much money from milk our clients and take all of their money from them. It's about adding value to them.
The psychology to that is it's called pattern disruption. That's what we've done. She's gone, oh, he's going to come in, he's going to give me something, and then he's going to start fucking pitching at me. And like, trauma dump his fucking sales pitch at me and look at me with his puppy dog eyes, and I'm going to feel sorry for him. So we might as well have a vacancy ready to throw at him. 100%. We need a warehouse person actually. Go on, have that. Instead, she's sort of like, this is weird. He's not even asking me for business.
Nitin, I asked her a simple question like, how many departments do you have here? And what is the breakdown of them departments? And she looked at me and she's like, do you know what? That's a really good question. None of my agencies have asked that. And I'm like, what?
You've got good relationships with them though.
What do you mean they don't?
So I'm saying I've got a good relationship with my...
It's part of the job, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I've got a good relationship with my postman.
100%.
He's never been behind the door, but I've got a good relationship with him. Like, what's the relationship? He drops off the mail every time. Yeah, that's a good transaction. What about the rest of it? Yeah. Where's the substance?
It was but it was a good meeting. I think from my perspective and from Gemma's perspective is like, I mean this with the greatest respect. Like, we're not desperate for $5,000.
Yeah.
We don't need your one job. We don't need your work. Like, we want to work with good people and good businesses and be able to really add value to them.
And that's the thing. Grow. If you can give me that, then we've got work. We've got a relationship here. We've got legs here. But actually, if all you're going to do is go, I'm going to send you a vacancy that goes out to 7 other agencies, and it's the first person who gets a candidate over the line who gets my time. It's like,
send a job description to us and say, send me some CVs.
Yeah. No, it's the same as turning up to do a house viewing and there's 6 of the families there, right? Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like,
Mm.
we don't want
But
that.
again, that's an industry shift thing, because until we do things well our end, but until other recruitment businesses
People have got to learn to
start
value
put their
themselves.
foot down.
But then that it's a whole different podcast, though, isn't it? Because you got value yourself.
back.
Yeah, well, you learn to value who you are as a person,
you
then
are.
you value what you do, and
For sure.
that kind of builds out. But that's that's a completely different conversation. Bringing people into the industry who've got no like life experience necessarily, or struggling financially, because that used to be the way. It's a sales job. I want people that are in debt. Then they're money driven, and it's like, fucking, this is nuts. You're bringing these people in at like their lowest, and then expecting them to like control the careers of people,
and
then
turning them into absolute animals.
Or or churning them out 6 months later, and then they're going out going, never work in recruitment, it's shit, and they go off and start podcasts about how crap the life in recruitment is, and like, you know what I mean, and like it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. But there you go. By the time this goes out, the relaunch will have already happened. But genuinely, good luck with the rebrand and the relaunch and stuff. It sounds exciting. This has been really cool. Is there anything you want to plug? You've got your chance to plug to the camera, or are we good? I think
No plugs.
That's been good.
No plugs. Thank you for having us.
No, thank you guys for
It's
taking
been
the
a
time to come down. It's been
really
good.
good chat. It's good to come out of the office, get your head out of the office, and talk about things in the industry. Sometimes you can be so ingrained in what you do on a day to day. So thank you for having us, and
thank you, man.
It's
hopefully
amazing
we'll get to have another chat.
I'm sure.
sometime soon.
Yeah. We'll do a follow up for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing what you're doing, Nitin. Like, you're a cool
thank
guy. You've got a wicked setup here, so.
It's all right. The
beard's good.
Thank you.
Beard's
Beard's good. Beard's good. That's what keeps me here. Yeah. We've got a much better studio. I could have, but I don't want it.
Thank you.
Right, guys. Thank you for listening
Thanks
to
for
it
having
yet
us.
again. We'll see you on next week's episode. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Cheers, guys.
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Do you guys want to